Thanks for tuning in to Curious Cat, where we examine the shadowy space where science and the supernatural collide. I'm your host, Jennifer Holtz. Join me every week as I explore what it means to be a soul in a meat suit. Welcome to Curious Cat. In the true spirit of as above, so below, Pete, the Blue Collar Spiritualist, spends his evenings digging tunnels beneath New York City and his days boring paths for others to explore the spiritual realm. Both jobs might invoke fear in others, require proper safety measures and adequate lighting, certain protective measures, and with caution and training, they can be fruitful. His bio states that he's been practicing mediumship for about 15 years. He also does shamanic journey work and various forms of energy healing. With a job building underground tunnels under the streets of New York City, he brings a different, blunt new perspective on working and connecting to the spiritual realm. Welcome to Curious Cat, Pete. How are you doing?
How are you? That was some intro.
I'm a writer. I can't help it. I'm sorry. It just kind of flies out like that. So before we get into the mediumship, like how you came to have your gifts, you notice I wiped those off your bio. I didn't want to spoil it at the beginning, but I wanted to know more about your tunneling work, like just generally because it does evoke a little bit of anxiety in me I think from some past life stuff that I've been working through. But do you add any like spiritual type protections to yourself before you go into the work, or do you notice you do a cleansing and clearing when you come out at the end of a shift?
Not really. I mean, I don't know. I'm a Scorpio moon in astrology, so I always kind of like the intense, dark stuff. You know, like it. I never really felt afraid in the tunnels. I mean, I don't know. I felt more at home probably in the tunnels than anywhere else. But I mean, I always try to pray, you know. I always kind of keep prayer in me. I always try to be from the heart, and you can't go wrong with that. I have good placements in terms of like Saturn and stuff like that. So Saturn is always like grinding type work. So I always like kind of acknowledge Saturn when I do my work, to be honest. And I wear like magical symbols on my hard hat that kind of feel like they protect me. So
I think they probably do. Okay, first of all, I can't believe how weird we're going to be getting right at the top, because people like in astrology dismiss Saturn, and Saturn keeps coming up for me. It's so powerful. It's so amazing. And I can't believe that you even mentioned Saturn. So you have Saturn in did you say in your moon?
It's
so
Libra,
your shadow?
Libra.
Oh, Libra.
My
okay.
Saturn's in Libra. But I feel like I get a lot from Saturn personally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I've always I have a friend who's like a Vedic astrologer, and she taught me things like a while ago, and I've always used them, and I've always like gotten results from it, you know. And Saturn is like tradition. You know, Saturn is like the Old Testament, like Jehovah type God, you know?
Exactly.
And it's that type of energy of like holding on to tradition, honoring like your ancestors, older people.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Capricorn mentality of like grinding things out.
The little goat.
Yeah.
The little goat that's just constantly going up.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm trying to move out of that energy a little bit, to be honest. I mean, I was, North Node in Cancer, South Node in Capricorn. So that means I came from that energy, you know?
You're like a person that embodies my eldest daughter who lives in Colorado with their partner, and their Capricorn energy and their partner is Cancer energy, and it's like the constant struggle between the goaty goat and then the crab in the little shell taking care of home. So it's good because you have that dichotomy within you. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm trying to move towards, I think I always rested my morals on like I can grind anything out. You know, like I want something, like if I'm buying a house, whatever. It's like I know that I could just keep taking the steps and like I'm going to grind it out and eventually I'll get to my goal. Where
So you have to get out of your comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
At some point you have to say, okay, I can grind it out. I know I have that in my back pocket. So now let me just trust the universe and say,
it's hard.
Hey, I want this to happen. So that's the flip, right?
That's hard for me, you know? And I think it's funny because like everything I've ever done in my life has been like grinding, you know? And like the spiritual aspect, it's like you got to just trust. And I mean, I'm aware of that, obviously, like consciously, I know that, but to like let it happen is a different story, you know? Like I grew up, I wanted a college scholarship, so I worked towards getting a football scholarship, you know, and I got it. And then like I wanted a house, I worked a lot and got a house. It's like I always depended on that. So like, and to move from like always knowing that grinding into like, oh, I'm a medium and I got to wait for people to come see me. And like, it's just got to flow kind of. And it's like, it's definitely hard to adjust.
Well, give yourself grace because you're doing it, right? You're doing it. You're on this woo show, so I know you're doing it. You definitely have this. Do you know who the Tommy Knockers are?
This
Tommy Knockers. Have you heard of them?
Stephen King.
No, it's like Tommy Knockers are like you could call them an elemental or a fae, but they're very much like tunneling underground, and there's stories about them like blessing miners that believe in them and that are kind to them, blessing them with showing them where a certain ore of gold is, and you definitely have Tommy Knocker energy, and
I've never heard that.
I'm just saying. Yeah, I just feel that because I'm a gnome seer. I only am learning this about myself, but I do come across gnomes and they have that Tommy Knocker energy, and there definitely is some magic involved with that, and that is definitely faith. So you're on the journey.
I'm trying.
Yeah. Okay, so we got super weird at first, but so now we know about some of your underground work, and I wanted to know about the symbols also. I have that written down on that you have on your protective helmet when you go down into the tunnels.
Yeah, I have a strong. I've always had like a back. No, what's the right word? Like just like Odin always came to me. That's just what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
And I've always had a strong connection to like Viking mythology, and they show up like whenever I go on runs, I find like branches. I always cross over. This is probably weird for people, but I always find like these it's like a 3-way branch. It looks like a Y with a line in the middle, you know? And that's a rune for Odin. So I always find them, and I have this like it's like the Viking compass. So it's like runes with like a symbol, and it's a compass. It's like it's supposed to help you always find your way. So I always wear that in case I get lost or something. And
I love that.
What else do I have? I have another Viking symbol that's like just a protection. It's like a seal. And then I had the Siri Yantra, which is like a Hindu symbol for the Venus Siri Yantra. And I'm Venus ruled, so I always kind of have the goddess energy protecting me and, you know, trying to bring through Venus energy. And that's it.
And that's it. That's everything. That's perfect. Okay, so now going into your mediumship, I didn't want to spoil it in the bio that I read at the top, but tell us about how you came to, like as a kid, you probably were somewhat aware that you had a little bit more of a sensory experience than other people maybe, but then what happened to bring it all to fruition?
I mean, growing up, I was always, I felt like I was always good at like recognizing patterns, and I always thought like I noticed things that other people didn't notice.
That comes from trauma, doesn't it? That comes from trauma work.
Yeah, I think most empaths had some sort of traumatic childhood. I wouldn't say I had the worst childhood, but like my family, my parents definitely had a shitty relationship, and I think like my mom's father died when she was a kid, so I think that kind of caused like a codependency within her family, and which in effect caused codependency within me. And I think my father was a very tough old school Italian, and I think like it was like a codependency triangle with us, and like I feel like we were dependent on how like my father felt for the day, like, and was just always hype. Me and my brother were both sensitive. My brother was probably more sensitive. I took like the harder route. He's like a double Pisces, so he was always like, I'm Aquarius. I'm a little more detached,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
attached. I think they say aloof.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
untouchable.
I think, yeah, between the Scorpio moon, which like doesn't like to show emotion, like has the emotion but doesn't want to show it, and then like the Aquarius is kind of just like out in outer space.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I don't know, we kind of just went on a tangent, but I think like being aware of like hyper aware of everybody around you kind of causes you to start to be hyper aware of everything. Like what's this subtle feeling out of nowhere? Like why am I sensing something here that's not here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when I was in my teenager years, like I had a couple experiences where I got like really scared because I saw things or like was aware of things that nobody else saw or was aware of. And I kind of blocked it off. And I actually remember saying like, don't ever do that again. I'll die, like it will freak me out, And then in my 20s, my grandmother, my mom's mom, who was like the matriarch, passed away. And I started having experiences with her. She would show up in dreams. She would show up in weird ways. Like my TV would turn on and off all the time. And it was an ongoing joke with my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
We would be in my room and the TV would just flick on and off. And then I'd be like, I'm telling it's my grandma. And my wife used to think I was crazy. Then I got a new TV and it would do it to that TV. And it was just like an ongoing joke with us. And then I just, I actually went to see a medium at like somebody's house out of nowhere. They were just like, oh, we're having a medium. And I've always been interested in like the occult and like offshoot stuff. And as soon as I walked in the room, she knew my name. And she's like, are you Pete? I've had this woman here and she's been telling me Pete's coming, Pete's coming, Pete's coming. And then as soon as I sat down with her, I could feel my grandmother. Like it was the first time I really felt her. And it was like somebody was sitting next to me. Like I could feel her. And it was like, holy shit, what was that? Like, and it kind of rocked my world. I was kind of lost at the time in my life and didn't know really what I was doing with myself. And it like changed, from that moment on, it changed my life forever for good. It was almost like an addiction in a sense, working with spirit on how good I felt compared to like where I was.
Yeah. So it was a lifesaver in a weird way.
Without a doubt.
Mm-hmm. So where did you go next? Like what resources did you grab? Because you become like this sponge. You can't learn fast enough. Yeah. But where did you go first?
Well,
what resources, what places?
This medium, she was like the 65-year-old like widow. and her husband passed. That's why she got into like mediumship. And um we became best friends. I was like and
Mm.
we would just like talk, and she kind of like taught me, the basics of like how to connect. She was at the time, she was very into like Abraham Hicks and that whole thing.
I haven't. Yeah, no, I have no idea about Abraham Hicks. Now I
Really?
have to look this up. No, I know. Oh my gosh. So tell us about
Well,
that.
Abraham
Tell
Hicks is
me about that.
basically Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks. It's like this woman who was like she would go into trance and receive information, and it's like The Secret, but The Secret is based off
Oh,
of her.
okay. Yeah. Oh,
She's the one who
wow.
kind of is the, you know, um, and it was all about like your emotions are your guidance system, raising your vibration. The more you raise your vibration, the more connected you are in a sense. And she
Mm-hmm.
just kind of taught me the basics. She used cards at the time. So I started off kind of using angel cards, because it's a good way to exchange energy, like the person touches the cards and you touch the cards, and it's like you're getting stuff off of touch. Um and she just, we became best friends and she helped me work through a lot of things. We would talk a lot. And then like I would sporadically like meet in my path like somebody who was a shaman, and I'm like, "Oh, what's this?" And like I would get into
Yeah.
that, and I got into shamanism for a while, and I still kind of do shamanism, but it was
Yeah.
like whatever pulled me, I kind of tried to soak everything in. And then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then I just started seeing clients, and it kind of just opened up from there.
So do your work guys know that you
Oh
do this
yeah,
work?
yeah. I've
Yeah.
read for
Do
all
they ever ask?
Yeah, I've
You've read
yeah, I've
them?
read for their whole family. I've done house clearings for some of the guys. Just, they all know what I do, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, it's wonderful because you created this community of one, because there's this kind of like you think that you're sort of losing your mind when it first happens, and in a bigger way. And so it's nice that you found this community of one, and then it must have been your higher self was like kept planting the next person in your place. Oh, this person's a shaman. I want to learn about this. Or this person's a blobbity
yeah.
bloop, and they popped into your life too. It's pretty amazing. So then how did you know you were ready for clients? I mean,
Well,
what's that moment
well,
look like?
she was like my first kind of mentor, and then I got connected to spiritualism, the religion of spiritualism. I don't know if you're familiar with that. A lot of people aren't for some reason, and I feel like it's such a
No,
great.
I'm not
Well,
either.
spiritualism like started in the 1900s, and it's like it's a religion that's kind of open. You don't have to necessarily abide. They're just like it's based off of like mediumship, the Fox sisters. There's a lot to it, but it's basically a a church service that kind of offers like meditation, healing, and mediumship. And I got connected to a spiritualist church with the minister at the time was Richard Scholler. He's probably one of the best mediums I've ever witnessed. And he became like my mentor and kind of taught me more mediumship type techniques, like where my first mentor, her name's Vincenza, she kind of just taught me the nature of like spirit, vibration, manifestation. He was more of like an evidential medium. His goal was to connect to spirit and bring through evidence. And he became like a mentor for me. And, I would do church services where I would do public demonstrations and read for people and stuff like that. And it just kind of naturally unfolded, over time. Like people were like, oh, read for me. And then you just get confidence, and you have trials and tribulations, and you kind of figure out how you work and what's the best way to be of service, and then it just kind of naturally
Mm-hmm.
unfolded. And people are like, oh, you should do this for a living, or like, and you just keep practicing until you feel more and more comfortable.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because your first teacher, she had no structure. She was just kind of, again, she was just like pulling you into it, teaching you about it generally.
Yeah.
And then your second teacher that came forward gave structure to it and evidentiary, you said. So it's like, here's the tangibles about it. So that was pretty purposeful too. So has there been a third teacher, or are you becoming that third teacher for other people?
There's been other teachers, but I would say those were like my two main teachers that like I had constant relationship with, you know? I feel like,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like I'm here to teach. I feel like I'm good at, I have, people always say I have Capricorn in Mercury, so I'm very like simple and like I try to find the best, like if you can't explain it well, then you don't understand it, you know? So I try to
Yeah.
like make it the simplest possible way to for people to understand it who have no, like if you have no experience, I try to find the simplest way to explain it to you, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, and that is the sign of a really good teacher. It really is.
Yeah.
So, and so it's got to be gratifying. And I feel like there's a book in you,
Yeah.
so it needs to come out too. I have to say that. I'm
I've-
sorry, the author, the ghostwriter in me comes forward. I'm like, there's a book here.
I've
I'm
been
like,
writing a
kind
book
of,
for about, I don't know, 10 years, just like all different
really?
pieces. And I just never like put it together because I go back and forth if like I want to just tell stories or do I want to like make it so what I want to do is kind of make a like take my experiences and then like the lesson that I learned from it and then like how to
Mhm.
use it to like work off of things, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm not there yet.
Well, you say not there yet. And I'm sure you know the basics, but just have notebooks everywhere, anywhere and everywhere that you have 5 minutes, just have them everywhere. And also it can be the job of somebody else that's outside of your sphere that is kind of giving structure to it. And because sometimes you need that objectivity where somebody outside of that bubble, so to speak, can just go, oh, this seems logical. This is how I'd like to take it in as a reader. And then it'll help you because it could be one of those things that you're working on for 50 years, and that's fine too. But there is something to be said for just having something out there because it may grow in a different way from where you think. Because it may be that you're seeing teaching tools that are going to come out of it, workshops that'll come out of it, and you're seeing it all at once and it feels overwhelming. So you're like, I don't know if this will be done. So anyway, I don't get the feeling that you're like pushing it, but I'm just saying, just like little helpful things. I had somebody on my podcast who will be on actually, I always record like 6 weeks ahead of time. His name is Derek Condit, and he's amazing. He's wonderful intuitive healer. But he was on the podcast, and then I did the next week. He has this thing where he puts your name into this shungite device once a month, and he just adds energy to it, and we all add energy to it, and then your higher self pulls out what you need to heal. Okay, so the long and short of it was I thought that it was like a Zoom meeting I needed to be in at a certain time. So I was on this Zoom trying to figure out how to get into this meeting. And then I realized it's not that. So I just meditated, and all of a sudden I just started writing down the stuff, and I sent him an email. And I didn't even know that I did it until he responded like a week later and goes, it's really been helpful. And I didn't know what I was doing, but my higher self was doing it. And what the higher self said to him in the email was, you're writing a book. You think that you can't do this, but you write all the time. Put notebooks everywhere. Write it down as it comes to you. And it may be somebody outside of you that is like structuring it, but just keep it coming. And so he said he'd been putting notebooks ever since then in like his truck, in his shop, and his this and his that. So,
yeah, I mean, anyway. I have the time. I mean, I'm starting to have the time now. So I was going to readdress that situation, you know, like it's just, I try to be out there as much as possible, you know, like I do podcasts. I have my own podcast. I, you know, do workshops in person. I was working on an online course for the longest time. I finally finished that. So it's like, you know.
Hey. Yeah.
It's a lot.
Okay. And It is a lot, but sometimes when it's coming, you want to give that gift in a generous way too. That's what I'm seeing from you. So I think that's cool. Well, okay. If you need a naggy kind of mother type that's like helping you to taskmaster it along, that's what a ghostwriter actually is. So I did that for somebody that won, he's a musician. I don't want to name drop, but anyway, he knows. But, just kind of being that mothery type that's kind of pulling it out. Yeah. And then I'm the one that says, you need to get this book done. People need this book. So if you need that taskmaster, I will be that for you.
That's why we connected. Who knows?
I think our higher selves are like, she's going to be the little bitch that gets you to finish the book. But I'm nice about it. And I don't take money for it. I never have taken $1 for it because it's only my higher self decides what to do, what projects to be a part of. So Anyway. Yeah. So, okay. So I had to talk about this. So on TikTok, speaking of books, I reached out to you because you very generously, you will put on your TikTok sometimes, hey, put a comment in and maybe I'll do a reading for you. And so you generously will tap into people's energy and give them a little mini reading on TikTok, which I think is incredible. It's very generous and kind. And so I had something that I've had a work in progress for at least a decade that I asked you to tap into. And you gave me a reading and about that energy. Would my friend, who it was supposed to be about, would she approve of it? And you were spot on. Do you remember what you said at all?
No, I just like, really, I don't, it's like you don't even remember half the time because I just say what I get. I have no attachment to what comes through it. Like people get annoyed if it doesn't connect for them or something like that. But it's like, I just say what I get. There's no judgment in what comes out.
Hey everybody, Karen Rontowski here. I hate to interrupt the Curious Cat podcast, one of my favorites, but if you want to double your paranormal fun when you're done here, come check out my show, Paranormal Karen. I interview exorcists, demonologists, healers, psychics, really anyone that can make a family gathering uncomfortable is on my show. If you want to see everything I do, go to KarenRontowski.com. And I know you're thinking, that sounds hard to spell. Well, it is. I have misspelled it on hundreds of tax forms. So if that doesn't work for you, go to psychicstandup.com or paranormalkaren.com. There you can find my Patreon. You can book a tarot reading. You can take a tarot class. You can find everything, including my stand-up comedy clips. That's right. I've been doing stand-up for 30 years. If you go to those places, you can also see my psychic stand-up show where I mix psychic and tarot readings. Yes, the future never looked so funny. So check me out at KarenRontowski.com, ParanormalKaren.com, or PsychicStandup.com. And can someone please find me a marketing person to put all this in one place? Now back to the show.
I mean, everything was spot on. So the friend that I had been writing the book about, her name is Sissy, and her birth name was Arlene, but she was Sissy, and she was a coworker, and she was in her 20s, and she was a teenage mother, and so she had to quit high school before she could get her degree. And we ended up working together. I was a marketing person right out of college at a cabinet company, and she was in the factory part. And the owner of it was, I love him. His name was Mike, and he was just a great guy. And he saw this diamond in the rough with Sissy and said, you want to finish your, get your GED and then go on to college. So I'm going to pull you into the office where you will have the time and space to take these classes. Yeah, so, nice. Anyway, we became dear friends, and she was a single mom, and her daughter, Megan, you said an M name. That was her daughter, Megan. And so it was a 3-day weekend before President's Week, and I'm going to cry. And she was wearing the prettiest, red sweater with these black spots on it. She was just the most sweet, beautiful spark plug. And she said, bye, have a great weekend. And she waved at me, and then she was gone. And then Monday, we came into work because we're a cabinet company where we don't get the day off. And I get this call on the phone, and it's a little girl looking for her mom, Sissy, for Arlene. And she thought her mom had gone to work. And her mom we found out later had been murdered that weekend.
Jesus.
Yeah. So anyway, her daughter had been in the apartment with her mom. And the craziest thing is, right after the call, I looked up and the entire, those fluorescent lights, and they have that plastic cover over them, covered in thousands and thousands and thousands of ladybugs. And by the time we sorted out, we got the police to her apartment and, taking care of the daughter. We got her ex-husband there, taking care of the daughter and pulling her out of that situation. They found Sissy. And by the time our boss, Mike, was able to call a pest control group, of course, every trace of the ladybugs was gone. And of course, that was Sissy because she wore that red sweater the very last time I saw her with the black spots. So ever since then, from my understanding, I tried to track it. I actually moved out of the state to help my dad with a project that we were trying to fund after apartheid ended in South Africa. And so I moved out of the state, but I still kept in touch with my coworkers, and the daughter was okay. She was living with her dad, but they had never solved her murder. And the guy that was they suspected most of the crime had gotten away with the murder the year prior. So Sissy will come to me in ladybugs, especially when I became a mom. When I became a mom, I'd see these ladybugs and I'd think of Sissy and I'd think of her daughter, Megan, how do you survive that? That's a really hard thing to lose your mom and know that you were physically in that apartment with your mom and you heard some things, but you're in second grade. So that was Sissy. And I've always felt when I watch true crime and things, her case has never warranted a peek on ID Network or Cold Case or whatever. And it makes me angry when I see that because she was the most loving spark plug of a woman. She was getting her life together. She was really a special person to me. So clearly she wants her book. And it's a fiction book. It's based on the daughter growing up in her 20s with this kind of legacy. So
wow, that's cool.
Anyway, you helped me have clarity. So then after I watched your reading, so these are the ripples that you're casting that you don't even know about. So I'm just telling you this. So after I watched the reading and I had that clarity, I sat down at my computer and I was going to prep for our interview. And I'm like, nah, our higher selves have that. It's fine. But then all of a sudden on my window outside my art loft is this little ladybug that's skittering along. And I said, well, hello, Sissy. And then it flew away. So she knew I had the message.
That's funny. So. It's I don't know. I was actually on TikTok for a while. I had 10,000 followers and then I just deleted it. I got rid of it.
Really?
Yeah, because it was just overwhelming. Yeah. People just get overwhelming on it. And it was just but then it's such a good way to reach a lot of people. And I was like, you know what? I'll go back on and restart. I used to do lives and just do readings on the lives and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, I guess you don't know what you're doing until, you talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Face to face.
And you get kind of the next part of the story, right? The rest of the story.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard because sometimes you just focus on people just, it's funny. I was just talking about it the other night with one of the guys I worked with is you get these people always reaching for you. And that's the thing that bothers me. Cause I want people to do their own work and, I'll do a reading and it will connect for somebody and it's it. But then you get the people who are I want a free reading. I want a free, and it's they keep commenting and then they're always the worst people to read for too.
Yeah.
You go through my messages,
exactly.
I would say 80% of the people it connects to, they say something, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then it's always the people that you're that are bothering you that are always oh, it makes no sense. I'm I know when I have a connection, it doesn't matter what anyone says. If I don't connect, I don't connect and I'll say that. But it's just, that's why it gets to be a lot on TikTok.
Well, yeah, because again, it's if you lead with your heart center, it can feel a little I I don't know, tethery.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just, yeah. And so what I've been trying to do, because I don't even profess to have your abilities or anything, but I'll see certain things. And it's like, I want to connect. I end every podcast with, I love you. And I mean it. I say it from my heart chakra because I know there's people that they don't get that love from anywhere else. But with it comes kind of there's some sticky tethers too. But I had my first weird little stalker thing. And it's like, what I do is I do the witchy cast a mirror back and just go, whatever you are needing by doing that, I cast it back to you. And so it's kind of really resolved it. And I also do rely on my angels to kind of resolve it. So I'm like, maybe this person needs a kitten that's hungry and needs some loving into their lives because they don't, and I send it in love, but I try to let them to work it out. So it's strange, right? It is,
but it's
that
like
balance.
I mean, I'm a big fan of everything in your reality is a reflection of self. So there's something there that obviously I need to learn, whether it's boundaries or self-love or whatever. So, I mean, I think it's a double-edged sword because it's like, there's something in me that's attracting that experience, and I don't know what it is yet, but, I'm trying to figure it out, and I think that's a key part, like, why am I experiencing this,
Yeah. It's so weird that, like you said, boundaries too, because I was thinking about it. I thought before this interview, I had like a bunch of things in the hopper, silly 2D things with my whole family, and my husband's out of town right now. And so I'm like, I know he's going to call. He probably already has called me during this because he didn't know what time the interview is and our time zones are different. But I had like 3 different things and I thought about boundaries. And the reason why my boundaries are when I set a boundary, I'm like, okay, I have to do this interview. I need an hour, 15 minutes, set the boundary. And I'm not saying that my pets and my husband, my kids are cows, but I'm saying if you are a farmer and you put up a little boundary around your farm and you left it that way, the cows could give a crap about it. But if you're constantly like going, okay, maybe I'll do a little entrance over here. Maybe I'll do a little gap over there. Then all of a sudden the cows are like, what's going on? And they're very curious about your boundaries. So I've been sort of fluid with my boundaries in a way. And I don't regret it. I love, I'm a mom, I'm a wife. I love those roles in my life. But that's like a reflection of me in my boundaries. So
yeah, I mean, I think that's the problem is like TikTok has like the fast food version of like spirituality, and it's like people are readers, and it's like I don't know. I think like reading for people should like change their life in a positive way. Like I don't really, me personally, I don't really believe in the classic sense negativity or evil. I think everything is really just us, and that's kind of like something I've been working on recently that I actually want to like write about is that I think everything is really us. Demons, angels, UFOs, aliens, I think it's just like I think it's like it's like our collective unconscious manifests, and I think like aliens, for example, I think are just like, UFOs. I read this thing the other day about Carl Jung, and he said how like UFOs started showing up during like World War One, and he believed that it's our collective unconscious want for like a higher power to like intervene, like, where the world's falling apart, we need something. And that's how it manifested as this like obscure outside source, whether they're physically real or not, it's more of like the unconscious manifesting. So it's like, and then I've like thought about it. It's like I dealt with like doing shamanic work. I dealt with like attachments, entities, all that stuff. And I think it's really just us. Like when you're going through the spiritual awakening, like people, it's funny. Like the other day I did a podcast with Sam Tripoli, and somebody commented on the bottom of the podcast, like, be careful, Sam. You don't want to open those doorways because you can never shut them, or something like that, right? And that's fine. Like, that's somebody's belief, whatever. But it's like,
Sure.
I think a lot of times issues people have, they don't really understand them. So they assume like their programming or what they're taught. You know, it's like, if you're feeling like, if you're sitting and meditating and this fear like consumes you, like naturally somebody who's raised Catholic, or, you know, I was raised Catholic, is going to be like, oh my God, there's like, I'm meditating and a demon's here, or like this dark entity's here. But nobody stops and thinks like what really, or like the mechanics of what's happening. So, and I feel like this is a big thing for people to learn, is that like, if you're going through a spiritual awakening, because it seems like a lot more people are, what happens is, as you work with spirit, you're connecting to a higher source. Your vibration is raising, or frequency, I don't like vibration, is raising, because you're connecting to God. God, you know, say God is 100. God's 100 degrees, right? And we're in the physical realm, I would say the average person is 50 degrees, right? And as we raise our frequency, we go to say 60, 75, you know, because God's got to come down and match us to connect, right? Yeah. So as that happens, what happens is the stuff that's like 30 in your body or 20 has to come up, because it has to be cleared out for you to align with that higher frequency. So if you're sitting there and you're working on yourself, you're connecting, that stuff is naturally coming up. So what's going to happen? You're going to feel those emotions, because they have to be processed for you to move forward, you know?
Yes.
So how does that happen? You feel them. So you feel that fear. But people automatically connect it to like something dark, or, oh, I'm having a bad experience, or something's happening and it doesn't feel good. So automatically it's, oh, I'm connecting to the devil, or you're working with the devil. So people say these things, but they don't really understand what's happening. And now if you look at that on a collective level, right? Now, me, you, everybody watching TV or like watching social media is like consuming this like perception, you know, like, oh, the world's going to shit, you know?
Right.
So that's in you, whether you're aware of it or not. Unconsciously, it's in you, right? So you're manifesting things because you're reacting with this reality. And what happens is, I think these lower traumas coming up collectively manifest into these energies that we assume are actual, whatever, demons, entities, aliens, whatever you want to call it. And what really it is just, I think it's like a collective trauma manifestation energetically. And it has to come up for us to like work through this collectively.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that makes so much sense. And also to give it a persona that's not us when it's of us is so much easier for us to accept, right? Yeah. It's so hard. You know, it's hard and it's awkward when you go, oh, maybe that's a part of myself that I need to face. It's my shadow self, or, you know, or collectively, like us as a society, that we need to face and go, you know, for example, the UFO thing, it makes me super uncomfortable when the UFO folks will go, well, they'll intercede if there's going to be nuclear war. And I'm like, I feel like that's a coping mechanism that's not really healthy. Yeah. Let's go ahead and say, let's claim our power and go, it's not going to happen because we say it's not going to happen. Yeah. But we're ceding that control over to some entity that may or may not exist. And that makes me uncomfortable. When you take the power that's innately ours and you cede it to something else, that's where the mama bear in me comes out. And I'm like, that's not really healthy either. So
yeah, well, I think I think the best thing you could do in terms of your spiritual practice is to like take full responsibility for you and where you're at, you know? It's like social media destroys people in a sense because it's like there's always something for people to latch on to on why they're not where they want to be, you know? Like, oh, I'm an empath. It's consuming me, you know, or my narcissist partner, you know, like there's always like somebody to blame. And it's like, you're responsible for where you're at. Even like me doing readings and stuff like that, I kind of what I am trying to do is show that I'm just like an average guy who can do this. Like, it's not special, you know? And I think a common misconception is like the gatekeeping by some spiritual people saying like, oh, this is a gift or this is special, where it's not special and it's not a gift. Everybody can do it. You know, like I could genetically be more gifted to play football, but everybody can throw a football, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly. You were saying, just to bring it back because I thought it was powerful, is that, you know, so a lot of people say that this is a gift, it's a special gift. And you're like, no, we all have the ability to do this. We just need to tap into it and learn the protocols and to figure it out. And we can all do that.
I mean, I think like, it's like the same thing as demons or whatever, is that people have like, they get their information from outside sources instead of trying to go within. It's like, you know, you look at culture's belief behind mediums. Most people think like from movies or stories that it always has to be this like grand experience, where when I communicate with spirit, it's much more subtle. You know, it's your inner dialogue. It's your you know, mind's eye. Like if I teach a course, I've made an online course, and basically it's about teaching people where to see the information or where to receive the information, how to open up, and like how to like develop your relationship. But like if I'm talking to you right now and I tell you to see an apple in your head, can you see an apple in your head? Okay.
Yeah,
or anybody
definitely.
listening, if you try to see an apple, right? So that's where I see spirit. It's the same space. So you kind of have to learn. It's almost like relearning your imagination.
Yeah.
And like where your imagination works with you. So that's seeing. If I tell you to feel a wet sponge, can you?
I can.
Okay, so that's the same space. And really, if you think about it, feeling, right? If you put your hand on something, you can put your hand on your lap, right? It's not your hand feeling it.
No.
You know,
No, it isn't.
It's your whole body, really.
Right.
You know, it's like your hand is touching, but it's like if you really feel into the space, it's your hand, and then you could kind of feel your nerves and your nervous system going all the way to your brain if you really tap in. So all spirit does with feeling is they tap into your nervous system and they put pressures to kind of give you ideas of things. If I tell you to like hear a leaf blower, you know, like, or
that's too easy.
yeah, or an ambulance siren, right? If I tell you to hear an ambulance siren, do you hear it?
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
and it's you're not actually hearing an ambulance siren. It's like internal. It's your memory. They're using your brain. You know, it's these same pathways, and all spirit does is work with those pathways, and they push their energetic body into your energetic body, which I think has some sort of connection to your nervous system. You know, and I think what it does is it ties into your nervous system and kind of uses your nervous system to work with your brain, whether it's seeing, hearing, or feeling. And it's really that simple, and all it is like, now if we go back to seeing, right? Seeing spirit, you have the mind's eye. So if I see the apple, for me personally, everybody's different because our nervous systems are different. But I see the apple like right here, right? But as I'm seeing that apple, if you really break it down, my thoughts and my thinking is here. It's in another space, right? So the difficult part in becoming a better medium, if you want to call it better, is feeling that difference. Because the most people, when they start getting information or start becoming aware, the first thing they go through, usually the first stage is it me or is it them? Because they don't have the clear separation of them and you,
Right. And going back to what you said earlier, they have stigmas that are embedded in that.
Yeah.
Because I was just having a conversation with somebody about how if it's of my voice, it's good. If it's not of my voice, it's bad. And I said, really, that's a rule for you. So it's concrete until you say that's not a rule anymore. But that hasn't been my experience. So it's like, then you have to whisk away all those old stigmas of that old teaching that didn't help with this connection too.
Yeah. What I was going to say is I've never, ever received negative information from spirit. Ever. So anybody who's giving negative information, I feel like is projecting their own issues onto people. But that's just my it's like, I don't get fearful stuff from God in a sense. It's like, first off, I don't think there is good or bad in general. I think it's like our own perception of things. I think this nature and this reality is dualistic. So it's always like there's always judgment in a sense because it's either right or left, good or bad, but it's not the essence of like evil, like a devil or something. But that's just my experience, So when you hear readers give like fearful messages, it's just like, I don't know. I've never had that experience where I've received like, sometimes occasionally like, you should take better care of yourself. But I've never gotten like something where like, oh, you be fearful of this, because it just never comes through. Because whether it's my own intention or just my experience with God or the divine or whatever you want to call it, spirit, I don't know where I was going with that, but I just felt like I should say something.
Yeah, I felt like it was really worth saying because that's been my experience as well. If I've had something that seems a little bit like I don't even want to call it dark because I'm a positive person, but it's like it's just a cautionary tale. It's like, take care, notice this, or don't hesitate, send this message to this person. I'm like, okay, I hear you. Well, I mean, yeah, I completely agree. I don't know why I wanted to tell you this, but I was at the grocery store and I was noticing this old man and there was this person behind him and he was just like looming behind the old man. And I didn't know then, but later I was like, I don't think anybody else saw them. And then I kept running into them. I had 3 things to get at the grocery store. And so I was there super lickety split quick. And then I'm in the checkout and sure enough, the old man's there. And there's this like, young man behind him in these basketball shorts. And I see on his arm, he had this patch right here of like this bear fur that was in an infinity symbol. And I was like, that's really interesting. And I looked at the younger guy and he was just kept looming over the older guy. They were just together. It was like this symbiotic relationship. And they left. And when I came home, I started doing the research for the podcast I was going to do. And the very next thing I was going to research was jinn. And they were saying that jinn will come in like a symbiotic relationship with somebody else, sometimes they're trying to keep them alive because they also are taking something from them. So it's symbiotic. And often they'll have patches of fur and they can be symbols. And so I
Wow.
knew that it was a jinn that I had seen.
That's crazy.
And my isn't that interesting? It was, and what's interesting is my higher self was like, your mind is about to be blown. You went to the grocery store for like bread and some milk, and you're just going to come home with your mind blown. But then on top of it, it was like, then I had the whole stigma of jinn, right, in my head. And I saw the two of them together, and it was a mutual using, because I didn't know if the old man could have made it to the store without that energy attached to him. And also, the jinn didn't want anything to do with me because I'm listening to my 80s rap on the way to the grocery store and I'm singing at the top of my lungs. So if there was something like, I'm in my little protective bubble and I wasn't the kind of energy he wanted to be a part of. So it was non-threatening. And then here I am researching about it. So even that, like, some people would be terrified to know you were literally this close, because I had to walk around them to get to my little mini moos creamers. That was the third thing on my list. And I had to go, excuse me, sorry, and then go around them. And I'm just this little person. And it's like, that would probably terrify some people, but I got to come into the experience without any sort of stigma.
Yeah. It's funny. I've done shamanic work, and the majority of my shamanic work has been like clearing entities, energies, attachments, heavier stuff. And I went through a whole initiation process with that where I thought I was out of my mind for like 2 years of my life. And I've dealt with a lot of heavier stuff, interdimensional stuff, all that. And I think what I've come to is that I think a lot of these things are kind of accelerators in terms of our path, because I think what happens is a lot of times, anytime I've dealt with attachments, there's the 3 tells of having attachment. One is a slight pressure on your heart. And it feels like, I always say it feels like 2 fingers on your heart. Another one, believe it or not, is smell. People smell. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of times people report smelling things or having like bad breath or like smelling in some form. And the third is typically everybody has like kind of their go-to negative emotion. Mine is probably anger. Like I react in anger. Some people react in sadness, whatever. So typically that emotion is magnified whenever they have an attachment. So I think a lot of times like attracts like. So there is always, to me, we are God. That's my understanding. We are God having different physical experiences and, the cliche new age thing. But I've had the awareness of that, like the knowing of it instead of just like saying it. And if we're God, then we're in control. So I always think that in one way or another, you're always allowing this to happen. Even the most messed up things, there's a part of you that is allowing that to happen. So for you to have an attachment, there has to be some level of you that is allowing that to happen, right? So I feel like whenever you clear an attachment, it kind of clears an aspect of you that wasn't serving you anymore, because it feels like it pulls part of that like emotional, I don't know the right word, like that baggage that you have connected to that emotion. So say you're an angry person, it pulls some of that anger out with it. So I always felt like those attachments kind of are actually almost like mini spiritual initiations where you kind of work through some of your emotional stuff, because it causes you to kind of bring it up when you work with it, But yeah, so I mean, there's always a part of you that's aware of it, and I think everybody can deal with it. It's not it's not this like, you don't need like a priest, you know, like it's it's really just becoming aware of your own energy. And I mean, we could do it right now. I could clear you if you want to like work on it, and
Yeah,
people can.
that'd be so great.
Okay, so this is my practice. This is all I do. You know, I went from having like an hour daily ritual to really just this and, you know, some prayer. But anyone could join us too listening to this. So if you first just take a couple deep breaths and kind of relax. And just bring your awareness into your heart. Like as you breathe, feel the breath move in and out of your heart. And I'm going to work with your energy, so I'm going to tap into you. So what I want you to do is I want you to see if you feel like your attention or awareness is being pulled anywhere on your body.
My left hand.
Okay. Anywhere else? I feel like your right side of your solar plex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the gut part.
Yeah, like right here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's go with that area. Okay. So bring your awareness deeper into that area and just see if you feel like color, if you feel texture, if it feels masculine or feminine, if you feel temperature, if you feel any emotion connected to it.
I don't know. I see like charcoal.
Okay.
I don't. It's like I don't want to see it.
Okay. Do you feel any emotion? Masculine energy? Okay, I feel masculine. Do you feel like a temperature? Or
it feels warm, hot.
Okay. Do you feel any emotions?
It feels grabby.
Okay.
Like grabby.
All right. So
I don't know how to.
That's fine. Whatever. It's just to acknowledge it. So then you go back into your heart.
Okay.
And then you send we're going to take a deep breath on 3. Then you're going to send the thought or intention from your heart out the top of your head to God, your higher power, whatever you believe in, to clear this energy out that it's no longer serving you. And then you might feel some emotions come up, but you're going to feel movement and it's going to clear out. All right. So on 3, take a deep breath. 1, 2, 3. And send the thought or intention to clear this energy out, that it's no longer serving you. And I'm starting to feel movement already. It's moving vertically. I feel some pulling.
Yeah. It's stuck in my throat and it's up in my sinuses now.
Yeah, it feels like it's pulling out.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I feel lighter.
Yeah.
I didn't want to acknowledge it because I feel like I've been working on that because I have, there's a family member that's not doing well. Okay. And I have past issues with that family member that I've worked through, I thought. But it's like, and then it's so weird. But anyway, so I've made this deal that it's like, yeah, I will make a portal so you can pass away in peace and love. But there's no denying what my history is with this person. And it, it did damage me in a lot of ways. Solar plexus is exactly where it was. So.
Yeah. Do you, because I feel like.
I feel light.
You could do it on your own. You don't need me. It's just, and that's just something I do every day just to see where I'm carrying myself.
But there's a power to having it be outside of you because it's like, I thought I worked on that. I've been working on that the last 2 weeks and it's been stuck right here and right here because I can only get it so far before I got it out of there.
Energetically, it feels connected to like your mom.
Yeah.
And I just feel like this left shoulder. So shoulders are like it's funny. I've been kind of working on this new like manifestation trick that I've learned. And it's so funny because it's always layered, but every time you you peel it away, it always goes to your parents. It always goes to like a parent. So something I've been working on, I'll just share it, whatever, is that's the clearing work, right?
Yeah.
So something new that I kind of figured out with this whole everything's a reflection of self thing is I was thinking like, if everything is a reflection of self, then energetically, your reality that's manifested is within you.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So, what?
That just blew my mind.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
So, like, if something is going wrong that you don't like, it has to be within you energetically. So, what I've been doing is, like, I just come up with, like, something I want to manifest, whatever. Financial freedom, right? So then I ask my energetic body, so I tap in, like I breathe into the heart, feel into my energy, and I just say like, what is blocking me from financial freedom? And I'll feel like my attention is pulled somewhere on my body. And then I'll say, I want to clear this block from financial freedom, and I'll move it through. And a lot of times what happens is it's always layered, but I always do it multiple times, but you always trace it back to the parent. Like I associate the shoulders with your parents. Your shoulders are like should, or like, you know, like the programming aspect of your parents. It doesn't, you know, I'm saying parents, but it's really like, it's more of like
that
the
figure.
archetypal symbol of like parents. You know, you could have an uncle who was like a dad to you, and that's where you learned your masculine aspect.
Right.
But so left side is mom, right side's dad, and shoulders, like I said, is should. So it's always, a lot of times when you clear energy out, it always winds up feeling like there's a chain back to those areas.
Wow. That makes perfect sense, because it's like I feel like I'm actually sitting up straighter, and it feels a little lighter right there too.
Yeah.
Well,
we're always like
really,
working through stuff, you know?
Right, exactly. Well, and also everything that you've been speaking of the last few minutes has been about free will. Like that gives me such great peace, because even the angels cannot intercede because we have free will, and that free will is sovereign. And so we have to specifically say, I need help in this area. Please, I'm giving you the chance, go help me with this area. I'm giving you permission, my free will. And so it's the same thing as when you're talking about like a lot of the shadow work and the dark stuff and attachments. At some level, we gave, and I know that we'll be canceled in a million different places because that's victim blaming, but I'm saying me personally, it's like I gave free will for that to be there because it was serving me in some way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't feel great to think that the state of the world is because of us.
Yeah.
Everyone.
It's hard to face that, right? Yeah.
So everybody who wants to blame it, that's why it's like, it's so many things. Like you could look at the worst political topics that talk about, you know, like guns, right?
Yeah. Right.
So if you look at guns, you know, there's the side that we should take guns away or we should have guns. But the essence of what the argument is about, you know, your own protection, you know? So it's like people focus on these sides, but it's really it's always the essence of the information, you know? At the bottom of that information, both sides are the same. They just think different, you know, it's like
it's so different. Yeah.
But it's like they both want the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, but people get so wrapped up into like all these stupid political stuff, and it's like
I know. And it's all, again, we're doing that to ourselves, right? Because we're just trying to fool us. So many people, you said it earlier, it feels like so many people are waking up. And that means they're tapping into, we're all connected. it's a big pool of love and consciousness. And if I don't want to do harm to my neighbor, because that's doing harm to myself in a way. And so you have this growth happening, but then you have this other side latching on, and it's trying to keep you from me, us from them. It's like, and it's very fear-based, and it's hungry for the fear-based energy.
Yeah.
And it's like,
well, I mean, like any social media, it's all just trying to wrap you up into something, you know? It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what side you're on. It's about being wrapped up in something, you know? And that's like, you're just distracted. You're not recognizing the essence of who people are. Like, everybody's trying to do their thing, you know? It's their version of love. Even the people who are maybe messed up doing the wrong thing, it's like, it's their version of love. They only know their version.
yeah, that's exactly it. So we hit the top of the hour mark and we just flew past it. I could talk for another 6 hours, but I'm just wondering if people need more Pete in their life and they want to learn more from you, where can they find you? And sign up for a class or a session.
Yeah, so I have www.bluecollarspiritualist.com. I have an online course there, sessions there. I'm also on Instagram at bluecollarspiritualist.com and spiritualgraffitipod.com. Spiritual Graffiti is my podcast. I also wanted to plug this. I'm teaching at this. It's called the Hot Alien Summer Camp.
I was literally going to ask you about that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm teaching there. It's basically like a festival for 4 days in August 17th to the 20th. And it's at Starstruck Farms in Lebanon, Tennessee. And there's all different stuff. There's music, there's vendors, there's food, there's lodging. They have these cool little A-frame houses that you could stay in. And we were there. I was there last year. I taught a class last year there. But they have comedy. It's all different. It's all like-minded people like us, kind of searching to hang out together, and have good times.
And don't worry, don't panic. I will put all the links to all of this in the show notes, so you don't have to go scratching around in the internet I'll do that for you to find it and put it all in one place.
I think I have, hold on. I have the website. I'll just.
Oh, perfect.
Because I'm so bad at this. I had to get I don't have the website. Okay. It's hotaliensummercamp.com, I think.
Oh, okay. Okay, perfect.
But yeah, but I met a lot of really cool people there, who I've stayed connected with. It was kind of like, like when you go to those events, even like I've gone to different spiritual things besides that, but like you always feel the energy there because everybody's just like who's there once is kind of on the same page at least. So it's always a lot of.
It's like a family. It's like a really good family reunion. Yeah, I feel like
a family reunion you want to go to. That's what
exactly.
Yeah. So
you don't need to drink in order to cope there. Yeah, it's like fun.
Yeah, no,
it fills you up.
But
that's great. Well, people should have plenty of time to find and sign up. There's still spots available.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, please come back to Curious Cat. I'm so glad you stopped by.
Thank you for having me.
I can't wait to have you back. Thank you for listening to Curious Cat. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite listening app. And if you love the content, recommend us to a friend. Until next time, stay curious. I love you.
Hey, you. Yes, you. Are you looking for a new podcast that appeals to your scientific curiosity, but is also a little bit spooky?
Show me how I died in a past life.
Well, look no further, because this cat is where it's at.
He had concerns about the ethics surrounding AI, feeling they had achieved consciousness.
Curious Cat Podcast examines the shadowy space where science and the supernatural collide. Listen every week with your host, Jennifer Holtz, as she and her guests explore what it means to be a soul in a meat suit.
We were healing karma together. They were all kind of predestined to resolve something.
Listen on all your favorite streaming apps and continue the conversation on Twitter at CuriousCatPodCA. Or find Jennifer and all her links at Jennifer L. Holtz, spelled HOTES.com.